Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a very difficult subject, a truly heartbreaking event, the 2025 terrorist attack in Pahalgam.
Yes, it's a somber one. A stark reminder, really, that violence can erupt even in places we associate purely with beauty. The human cost is just immense.
Pahalgam, known for its incredible scenery in Jammu and Kashmir. People call it India's mini Switzerland, right?
Exactly. But on April 22nd, 2025, the Bizarre Valley there became the scene of, well, a horrific ambush. 5 armed attackers, dressed in military fatigues.
Targeting tourists.
Targeting tourists, yes.
Yeah.
The immediate result was devastating. 26 people killed and more than 20 injured. It felt like an attack not just on individuals, but on, peace itself, humanity, really.
And this event, its background, the aftermath, it's been discussed over on the General Knowledge YouTube channel. They do a lot of work exploring these kinds of significant real-world events.
That's right. A good resource if you want to sort of delve deeper into this and other global issues. We definitely recommend checking out their perspectives.
Okay, so let's try to piece together what happened that day, the Bizarre Valley. What did people actually see? What were the eyewitness accounts like?
Well, as you'd expect, pure chaos.
Yeah.
Panic. Reports paint a picture of attackers with automatic rifles moving methodically through the tourist group.
Methodically?
Yes, apparently asking people their names, their religion, specifically targeting based on that.
That detail is just chilling. It makes it clear this wasn't random violence. It was calculated, targeted.
Absolutely.
Right.
And reports suggest that some were forced to try and recite religious verses.
Yep.
If they couldn't, they were killed. It happened incredibly fast. Less than 10 minutes, apparently.
10 minutes. And the victims, we know the number, 26, but who were they? The personal stories make it so much more real, don't they?
They do. All 26 who died were male. One was Syed Adil Hussein Shah, a local Muslim man, a mule handler working there.
Right.
There was also one Christian victim. The other 24 were Hindu tourists. They came from different parts of India. And one, Sudeep Nupane, was from Nepal.
Can you share some of the individual stories? It's important to remember them as people, not just numbers.
Of course. There was Niraj Udwani, only 32, from Jaipur. He actually worked in the UAE, was back in India for a holiday, had just been to a wedding in Shimla with his wife, and then they went to Kashmir.
Oh, terrible.
And then Sudeep Nupani from Nepal, as I mentioned, IAF Corporal Page Halyang from Arunachal Pradesh. Also, Manish Ranjan, an Intelligence Bureau section officer, visiting from Bihar with his wife and 2 kids.
And the story of Lieutenant Vinay Narwal, that one is particularly heartbreaking.
Yes, Indian Navy Lieutenant Narwal,
Yeah.
just 26, from Haryana. He'd only been married for 6 days. They were on their honeymoon.
6 days.
His wife witnessed his death. Apparently, they were just eating bel puri. An attacker came up, asked about their religion, and shot him.
It's almost impossible to process that level of cruelty. And there was another account from Asavari.
Yes, Asavari. She's an HR professional from Pune. She described her family hiding in a tent when the shooting started, but the attackers found them.
Found them in the tent.
Yes. They asked her father to recite Islamic verses. He couldn't, and they shot him right there.
And during all this chaos, what about security? Police? Army?
That's a deeply concerning aspect. Eyewitnesses said there was no immediate police or army presence. It was actually the local mule handlers.
The locals?
Yes, the local guys. They showed incredible courage, helping the injured, carrying them on horses, even on their shoulders, trying to get them to the hospital.
Wow.
The Indian Army reportedly got there about 20 minutes after the attack began.
20 minutes later. Okay, so after an attack like this, the immediate question is always, who did it? Who claimed responsibility?
Well, initially, a group called the Resistance Front, the TRF, claimed they were behind it. Now, the TRF, many believe it's essentially a front, a shadow group for Lashkar-e-Taiba.
Which is a major Pakistan-based group designated as terrorists by the UN, right? India's blamed them for many attacks over the years.
Exactly. And the TRF itself had already been declared a terrorist organization by India's Home Ministry before this incident.
But then the TRF denied it.
Yes, that's the confusing part. Just hours after the claim, they put out a denial, said their communication channels were hacked and they weren't involved.
But the Indian government didn't buy that.
No. India remained firm, stating its belief that Pakistan-based extremist groups were responsible. The government strongly condemned the attack, pointing the finger directly at Pakistan for sponsoring terrorism.
And Pakistan's response?
They rejected the allegations outright, called for an international investigation to find out what really happened.
It's a familiar cycle, unfortunately. Accusation, denial. But this time, the consequences went beyond just diplomatic statements, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. The political and military fallout was pretty significant. India took some major steps.
Like what?
Suspending the Indus Waters Treaty was a big one.
Mm,
For anyone listening who doesn't know, that's a key water-sharing agreement between India and Pakistan. Suspending it is a serious move.
definitely. What else?
India also expelled Pakistani diplomats and sealed major land border crossings between the two countries.
And Pakistan hit back.
It did. Pakistan imposed trade sanctions on India, closed its airspace to Indian flights. And worryingly, there were reports of small military skirmishes along the line of control in Kashmir afterwards.
A real escalation. Did the international community try to step in?
Yes, the usual calls for restraint came from countries like China, the U.S., and also the United Nations. They urged both sides to de-escalate, to pull back from the brink.
Okay, let's shift back to the immediate aftermath within India. How did the public react?
Well, understandably, there was widespread grief, anger, outrage across the country. People held candlelit vigils, moments of silence, a real outpouring of solidarity for the victims and their families.
And in Kashmir itself, what was the feeling on the ground there?
It was complex. On one hand, you had powerful stories of communal solidarity, Hindus and Muslims condemning the attack together, mourning together, but there are also reports of rising tensions, communal anger flaring up in some areas. It really highlighted the fragile situation there.
The government promised justice, of course. But an attack like this, it forces you to ask bigger questions, doesn't it?
It really does. Why? Why do innocent people have to die for someone's ideology or for politics? It's a fundamental question that just hangs heavy in the air after something like this.
And this attack, sadly, isn't in a vacuum. The analysis over on the General Knowledge YouTube channel, when we mentioned, it places this within a broader pattern of terrorism in India, right?
Exactly. Their analysis draws parallels with the 2019 Pulwama attack, for instance, and it raises some really tough questions about intelligence failures, about government accountability. Could this have been prevented?
And they list other attacks, too.
Yes, the general knowledge analysis highlights a disturbing sequence. Nagrota, the Amarnath Yatra attack, Sunjwan, Pulwama itself, the Jammu Bus Stand blast, Awandapura, Poonch Rajouri, Riasi. It suggests a pattern that demands serious attention.
And the specific points about security before the Pahalgam attack itself are quite worrying.
Extremely. There were allegations, you see, of prior intelligence warnings, reports suggesting potential terrorist activity in that specific area, Pahalgam, in the weeks leading up to it.
So if there was intelligence, why did the attack still happen?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The analysis on general knowledge also touches on other potential issues, like reported shortages of Army personnel in the region. And it raises the point about security focus is enough being done for ordinary citizens, or is too much resource going towards VIP security.
That comparison they make, security for someone like Mukesh Ambani versus the concerns raised by, say, Kashmiri Pandits about their own safety. It's stark.
It really highlights that debate about resource allocation and priorities. Obviously, protecting high-threat individuals is necessary, but are the security needs of the general population, especially in vulnerable zones, being fully met? It's a valid question.
Amidst all this, the calls for unity must have been strong.
Oh, definitely. You had leaders like Omar Abdullah, various Muslim organizations, strongly condemning the attack and pleading for communal harmony, rejecting any attempt to divide people.
But there were other forces at play, too.
Unfortunately, yes. As the general knowledge analysis also pointed out, there were divisive narratives as well. They mentioned a controversial social media post, apparently from BJP Chhattisgarh, that seemed to, well, exploit the tragedy for political gain. It just shows how complex and polarized things can get.
So reflecting on this deep dive into the Pahalgam attack, it's just immensely sad. The loss of life, the family shattered. It's hard to even articulate.
It really is. And it underscores why it's so important for all of us to stay informed about these events, to try and understand the incredibly complex factors involved. Critical thinking about the information we receive is just vital.
Absolutely. And considering this pattern, these recurring attacks, and all the questions raised about prevention, about accountability, it leaves you wondering, what really needs to change? What are the essential steps to make people safer, to actually build genuine, lasting unity?
That's the crucial question we're left with. And maybe exploring different perspectives, like those shared on platforms such as the General Knowledge YouTube channel, can help you form your own informed understanding of these incredibly challenging issues.
Thank you for joining us for this very difficult but necessary deep dive.